Thank you. Good afternoon. I'll tell you, we, as much as Mark and I love Charlotte and we love all the people here, we love Asheville. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing today and what we've been doing thus far and how things are going there, talk about tourism development, business development, and things of that nature. Mark has assigned himself as an unofficial ambassador for the community. And he will tell me on a regular basis, I have 2 saves today. He'll bring tourists on the street. We live right downtown. For those of you who are familiar with downtown Asheville, you know where Tops for Shoes is? Well, I see a lot of the women shaking their head. And where the Lexington Avenue Brewery. Well, we live in between and up above in a loft up there. We just moved in April, and the first day we were there, Mark is out on the porch overlooking downtown, and he yells back to me and said, do you have any change? You have change for a dollar? I said, yeah. So I started getting it out. Turns out he has talked to the woman that's on the street down below and said, excuse me, you look like you're looking for something. Can I help you find something? She said, I just need change for the meter. So before I know it, he takes my change, wraps it up in bubble wrap, because we are still literally unpacking, and drops it down to the woman. He said he thought he needs a fishing pole, and that he should be getting a grant from the Convention and Visitors Bureau so that he can provide change services for people in downtown Asheville on a regular basis. But we do love it there. And for those of you who may not remember, this is where Asheville is. It's in western North Carolina, and actually we have a 4-county area that comprises the Asheville MSA. And you can see that we're significantly smaller than Charlotte, which was something that I had to get used to. But we are a community that lives much larger than it actually is. You can see that Buncombe County has about 236,000 people, Asheville has 82,000, and the MSA's population is over 420,000. And we have a lower than average annual wage than I would like for it to be, and it's certainly lower than it is here in Charlotte, but we're working on that every day. You know, this community has so many accolades, and we're actually using those accolades and selling the community in terms of business growth and expansion. So we've got everything from, you know, healthiest and greenest city, #1 small city for the arts, wonderful accolades related to retirement and to wine destinations, food, all kinds of accolades. There's one you won't see me share on a regular basis. We were just recently named by a stately, we're on the number 3 on the 17 best cities for hippies. We have our quota, so if you're a hippie, we don't need any more. Actually, that community is seen as this huge liberal outpost in North Carolina, and I have to say the city is very liberal. But when you get outside the county, it's just like every place else in North Carolina. But it's an interesting place. There's a bumper sticker that said, "If you're too weird for Asheville, you're too weird." And that is true. But we've got a wonderful reputation for urban renewal. If you haven't been in our downtown area, especially in the last 10 years, it is an unbelievable downtown area. And we have wonderful music and countless number of music and arts festivals, as well as independent restaurants. I'm going to have to just put all these up here at once so you can see all this beautiful imagery that made this. There we go, so I don't have to mess with it anymore. We also have a community where if you have employees who are interested in whitewater rafting or kayaking or zip lining, they can do that after work. It's literally that close. So that's a wonderful asset that we have in the Asheville area, plus some beautiful views. The top peak is 6,600 feet. We've also got America's largest private home, the Biltmore Estate. How many people have not been to the Biltmore in this room? See, very few. You're always welcome to come back, by the way. But for those of you who have not been, you must come and see that. And a vibrant craft beer community. We have over 10 craft breweries, soon to be added to by the manufacturing and distribution centers for Sierra Nevada and New Belgium, which we're very excited about, and I'll talk more about New Belgium in a moment. We utilize tourism in many ways. We're trying to make sure that we tie tourism to economic development. And tourism in and of itself, if you look at these numbers, 9.1 million visitors last year, which is 3.1 million of those were overnight trips. We like people who, that helps build the room tax, which is what we fund the Convention and Visitors Bureau on. And they spent $1.5 billion. That's an increase, 5.3% increase over 2011. So that's a pretty big impact. So not only, we like what tourism does for us in terms of helping build the Asheville brand. It encourages people to come for visits, but it also encourages meetings to come. And people to consider building second homes, and people considering to retire, and most importantly, people considering expansion and relocation opportunities. So we're utilizing that brand actively as a part of our marketing. We employ almost 23,000 people in tourism. And the CVB is a part of the Asheville Chamber. That's not the same situation here, and in most chambers, they're normally separate organizations, but we have economic development, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and the Chamber as one entity in Asheville. And our money is funded for the CVB through those room nights. Y'all are a target market, so we welcome all of you to come back anytime and bring your friends and family. And as well as Raleigh, Greensboro, and Atlanta. Those are the primary markets we have for Asheville. Now I'm going to emphasize again this 9.1 million visitors and the $1.5 billion they spent that last year. If you get, to give you some context for that, consider the brands that, I don't know why this isn't going, there we go. All right, there's Asheville, 1.5 million. If you think that's the equivalent of Oreo, Pringles, Pepperidge Farm, and Timberland. That is more than Netflix, Five Guys, Buffalo Wild Wings, and Joseph A. Bank, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's a huge brand. And it's just under Kleenex and Mentos, but we're coming after them in the next year. $1.5 billion. So it's big business for us. And we utilize it in many different ways. We have a marketing and communications staff that works full-time in trying to get Asheville in the news. And hopefully for good things and not for crazy things like topless women and some of the other stuff that happens. We've been at Food and Wine magazine. I want you to know we worked for 10 years making contacts with Food and Wine magazine, and also Savor, and ended up getting it in both within 1 month. But that was after 10 years worth of work. We've been in the New York Times. These are just the most recent. We have clips every month of different things. The Today Show, CNN, NPR's blog, there are any number of things that we end up in. And we try and utilize that to put Asheville on the map and in the minds of those who are decision makers for economic development. Lest I confuse you though, tourism is only 16% of business. You would think that it's more than that. But we have a far more balanced economy than people realize. So healthcare is our largest employer. Of course, tourism is big. Manufacturing accounts for 11% of our economy and growing. And we also have some significant government presence. One of the things that you may not realize is that the National Climatic Data Center is in downtown Asheville. So that center houses all the climate data since it began to be collected in the early 1900s and employs 400 people. And more importantly, those folks are working on studying how business can adapt to climate change. And that's located right in Asheville, which also gives us a tremendous fiber ring that allows us to build other types of business on that infrastructure. These are our major employers, and I had to get used to this when I got to Asheville. It is not Charlotte, that's for sure. I was used to big headquartered companies, and that is just not the case in Asheville. Mission Health System and the VA Center and Care Partners are all healthcare entities. Then we have government as another entity, and the Biltmore and the Grove Park Inn, hospitality and tourism, as well as, so we get to our first Fortune 500 headquartered company is Ingalls Market. So we are a community of largely of small business and have had to learn to help small businesses function well and to help them grow and expand and become larger businesses. We also have BorgWarner Turbo. They have 130 engineers and degree engineers working there, over 750 employees that are designing and manufacturing the next generation of turbojet engines that meet the new fuel efficiency standards, which is really interesting. And Eaton Corporation, which has 900 employees, and they're working on car chargers, first American-produced car chargers for electric vehicles that you'll see in the area. So our gross domestic product is $14.5 billion a year. And you'll see that over the last few years that we've continued to grow, and manufacturing has outstripped the growth of all the other sectors. We grew 18% in the last 5 years, which we were very excited about because that helps give that balance to the economy that makes you a bit more recession-proof. Certainly the recession hurt us, and certainly manufacturing's demise in furniture and textiles hurt the Asheville area, but it's coming back in many other ways. And we're also the beneficiary of lots of good, smart people wanting to come to our area. You'll see, it's hard to tell here, but the black lines, this is from Forbes.com, that's showing migration patterns. In migration is the black lines, out migration are the red lines. And the vast majority of people who are coming to the Asheville area are from Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, California, Pennsylvania, and New York. So we're glad to be getting that talent, being a net importer of talent to the area. One of the first things that I got to do when I arrived in Asheville was work with our economic development team to develop our economic strategy. It's called the Asheville 5x5 plan. And we have 5 industry clusters that we focus on: advanced manufacturing, healthcare, science and technology, arts and culture, and they're all overlaid by the knowledge-based entrepreneurialism. Because what we have in abundance is quality of life. And we are a small town that lives like a much larger city with wonderful arts and culture, wonderful food, beautiful geography. It's a great place to be, and we want people who can make decisions about living wherever they want to be. Yet we have the connectivity that's necessary to decide that they want to be in Asheville. So we're working very hard to grow our entrepreneurial scene. And I'm so proud of this particular chart because I arrived there in 2010. You see where that big bump is? I would take the blame if things didn't go well, so I'm taking the credit. So you can see we've done really well in terms of announcements, and I wanted to share with you a couple of those that were significant. The most recent announcement was with GE Aviation. GE made a decision to locate a new process, a CMC process. It's called ceramic matrix composite. And this stuff is stronger than steel. And it is a process they've been working on for 20 years. They made the decision to take their Asheville location and expand it and invest in it. And the announcement was made by the CEO of GE at the Paris Air Show, which gave us an unprecedented opportunity to talk to others in the aviation sector about what we could do with advanced manufacturing. So while it was only 52 additional jobs, it's going to cement GE Aviation to our community for the next 30 years. And this process is so proprietary that right now when they're making things from the CMC product, they're encasing the remnants in concrete so that nobody can get their hands on it. The difference that process is going to make is so lightweight that when you make aircraft engines out of this particular material, they're saying it's going to save $1 million a year per plane in fuel costs, which will make a huge difference to all of us. in terms of aircraft travel and freight travel and things of that nature. So we were extremely excited to have that opportunity, and that was a large investment in our community. Also, the one that I want to tell you about that is a little more sexy was New Belgium Brewing. All right, come on. See, you can tell these weren't my slides. I wouldn't have put all these things in there. All right, there we go. New Belgium accounted for 156 new jobs, $175 million. And I just have to tell you how this connection between tourism and the rest of business. So there is this completely unscientific poll called Beer City USA poll that this guy runs that garners all kinds of attention. And it is completely unscientific. I could vote 300 times by myself if I wanted to.
Tell all our friends to vote for him.
And that's exactly what we did. It's exactly what we did. We had the Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Chamber staff got all over it, and we all began to vote to make us Beer City USA. So we beat out Portland, Oregon, and they were really annoyed. Then we did it a second year. We beat them again, and we ended up in the Wall Street Journal as a location for craft brewing, and the people in Portland are tearing their hair out. It was pretty great. So we begin to get all this attention for being a beer location, and Sierra Nevada and New Belgium decide they're going to start looking for a new location, and they start looking in Asheville. Well, this company is a dream match for Asheville in terms of, because Asheville is a very interesting place, and is very committed to environmental stewardship. It's very committed to the arts. It's a wonderful place to be, and this company was so beautifully aligned. Our folks, we were competing with Philadelphia for the business. Philadelphia had a lot of money they could throw at a project, and we did not. That's one thing we don't have a lot of. In fact, the government, which is another thing I've had to get used to, is we have to utilize our county government kind of the way you would utilize some headquarters companies here in Charlotte on economic development deals. So we are connected at the hip with our public sector partners and trying to make projects work. In the case of New Belgium, our folks were talking to them about their core characteristics and principles by which this company is run collaboratively, it's owned by its workers, and so our folks, very wisely, because they really had no other alternative, began to sell Asheville on the basis of the corporate principles. So I'm going to show you, this is the hang tag that was on the bottles. And if you can't read it, let me tell you what it says. This is at the announcement. It says, New Belgium's second brewery location checklist. It says, hold on a second. It says integration of work and life. I've got bifocal contacts on and I still can't see. Integration of work and life, check, because we have that in abundance in Asheville. Strong community, check. Respect for the environment, which is a huge check for us. Full of culture, check. A love of beer, check. A love of bikes. They wanted all their people to be able to ride from West Asheville to work on bike paths, check. And also in Asheville, North Carolina, check. That's the decision they made because it was a nice cultural fit. We see that as a way we can utilize Asheville's brand to be successful. And we encourage you, for those of you who haven't visited us regularly, or even if you have, we hope you'll come back and bring friends and family and lots of money, and feel free to spend it all over town. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.